Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing my Halloween Icons book tag. So I was tagged in this video by Nikki last year, and by the time I got around to it, I realized it was already past Halloween, so I was going to film this video like a year later. So here I am, finally filming this, and I'm so excited to actually get to this tag. So before I get started this tag, two things. One, I will include the original creator's video down below as well as Nikki's video. And number two, how adorable is my shirt, guys? Like, it says meow on it, and it matches my ears. Perfect. Anyways, the first one is Freddy, a book you'll burn. Honestly, I don't really like the idea of burning a book, but if there is a book that I have to pick, I would probably go with As Surface Breaks, because that book was just so bad. It was just so many topics in there that are just really negative, and like the characters and the romance too. Oh my god, it was just like a really bad book. Like, I don't know why I even read it, to be honest. But that would probably be a book that I would burn if I had to pick a book. Anyways, next question. Jason, a book you'll hide the cover while reading / cover you'll recreate. So this one's kind of hard because, first of all, I don't think I have a book where there's a cover that I would like to hide. I feel like that just doesn't happen to me. But I do know that when I read hardcovers, I do take out the dust jacket, but not necessarily to hide the cover. It's just because it's just easier to read without the dust jacket. So, and in terms of recreating it, I don't really have any artistic skills, guys, so I cannot recreate a book, period. Question number 3, Chucky. A short / small book that proved itself or made a big impact. So this one was kind of hard because I don't really have a book that's a short book, but I would probably go with Red Wall just because it's kind of short. I want to say it's about 300 pages, so it's not super short, but definitely one of the few books that started my love for fantasy. And of course, here I am like years later reading fantasies all the time. Question number 4, Candyman. A book character you feel mirrors you. I would probably go with Frankly in Love by David Yoon, just because I feel like Frank's own experience as an Asian minority living in America closely relates to my own experience, not necessarily with the cultural references because he's Korean American and I am Taiwanese American, but in the fact that we both face cultural identity crisis, I guess, because you're living in America and it's a very like white dominated society, whereas our parents, like my parents, come from Taiwan, so a lot of their cultural references are from Taiwan, from China, all that stuff. And so for me, it was kind of difficult growing up because your foot is kind of in one door each, right? Like one foot is in the American culture and one foot is in the Asian culture. And so I definitely agree and relate with Frank in that sentiment, just because I definitely had similar experiences while I was in high school or just growing up in general. So I would probably say he most related to me, or he most mirrored me when I was younger. I mean, I don't really have the issue now because I'm older. I feel like I'm over that, but when I was younger, I definitely had like cultural identity crises, just like Frank apparently. Okay, question number 5, Michael Myers. A book you couldn't get away from. So I feel like this book is supposed to have like a negative connotation to it because it's a book that you didn't like but you couldn't get away from, but thankfully that has never happened to me. I feel like usually if it's a book that's super hyped up about, I'm usually loving it as well. So I have a few choices for this direction, which is how I'm going to take this question. The first one is Serpent and Dove, guys. I feel like recently this book has been getting all the hype and I loved it. Like, it is so good. So I'm definitely on board with that. And the second one will probably be Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. But to be fair though, I read that prior to it becoming super popular on the book community. I read that, I want to say 2017 or something like that, and I think it just became popular within this past year. So I mean, but that was a book that I definitely cannot get away from. Like, literally everyone was talking about it, but I already read it and I loved it, so I was okay with that. And the other one probably would be To All the Boys I Loved Before, but I also love that book. So I mean, these are all like positive. Like, I'm glad that I couldn't get away from these books because I love them too. So anyways, question number 6, Jack Skellington. A book that opened your mind to a new genre. So this will definitely come as a shocker for you guys, but that would probably be Radium Girls. This is a nonfiction, and obviously I don't read nonfiction, so that was definitely the book that I think after I read that I started to look more into nonfiction and got into more books, etc. But prior to that, I don't know, like I read very few. I feel like the few nonfiction I read were usually memoirs, like the one from Trevor Noah. That one I really liked. But for other books that are about like history, I don't really read nonfiction. But Radium Girls was so good. Like, you definitely have to listen on audiobook, guys. It was like I just couldn't stop talking about it. Like, I was sharing it to everyone. Question number 7, Beetlejuice, a book you talk about nonstop. Well, probably Radium Girls. That would be my first pick, because I literally, like, after I read it, I talked about it to all my offline people, like my colleagues, my friends, just like everyone in general. I was like, you need to read this book. I know you don't like nonfiction. I feel like most of us don't read nonfiction, but this book is so good. And then the second one would probably be Queen's Rising. I just feel like, I think maybe it's just because no one else really talks about it, so I feel like I had this need to talk about it because I loved it. I gave that book like 5 stars or something like that because it was so good and no one really talks about it, and it's definitely underhyped and more people should read it. Question number 8, Frankenstein, a book you'll tear apart and recreate. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Eleanor Park because I feel like this book could have been really great if it wasn't for 2 reasons. 1, it was fucking racist, and 2, the romance is terrible. Like, which is kind of sad because this book is a romance and the romance is honestly like not great and it was just super racist. But I feel like this book could have had a lot of potential because I absolutely loved Rainbow Rowell's Fangirl. Like, that book was so good. So she had the potential to make this book into a really great book, but unfortunately Eleanor Park, guys, just did not hit that at all. It was just so off the mark and it could have been so good, guys, if only it wasn't for those 2 things. Question number 9, a book that drained you while reading. So this is kind of a cheap book, but I might go with Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. But it's like a cheat because I haven't actually finished it. I'm still on page 70. Like, I have not made any progress since the last time I talked about this book, or the time before I talked about this book, because this book has just been sitting there and it's a big book. But I just feel like every time I try to pick up this book, my energy just drains away from me and I'm just like super tired and do not want to continue with it at all. But if you're gonna go the route of emotionally training, I would probably say The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. That book made me cry, guys. Like, I just felt so empty after that because all of my emotions like went away from me while reading the book. So that will probably be the second book that I'll pick for this question. Question number 10, this is actually super fast. Top 3 books in your life / 3 books you're most looking forward to read this month. Top 3 books is really hard, so I'm gonna go with the 3 books I'm really looking forward to this month. Number 1 over here is A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Richard Kammerer. This is the sequel to A Curse on Dark and Lonely, which is absolutely my favorite of this year, like one of my favorites of this year, and that one is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So this one follows Gray, who is a character in the first book, and he is my favorite character, so I'm so excited for this one. Then the second one I'll probably go with is Mistborn. Oh god, I almost hit myself. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. This is a series that I just feel like has been very well beloved and I haven't read it yet, so I really want to read it, and I'm already planning on reading this with Katie and Madison this month. Like, that is a plan, so hopefully we actually read it because I really want to read this. And the third book that I'm really excited to pick up will be Nevernight because I'm actually buddy reading this with Carrie. I just need to find my copy first, but I'm really excited for this one as well because of all the hype. Like, everyone who's been talking about it, like when Dark Dawn came out earlier in September, oh my goodness, guys, I cannot get away from that as well. That's definitely another book that I just cannot get away from, but I have nothing I can say about it yet because I haven't read it, so I don't know if it's a good or a bad book, for me at least. So that's why I didn't include that in the question, but that will definitely be a book that I cannot get away from. Like, literally everyone was talking about it. So then the last question is just to tag some people. So I'm going to tag Madison, obviously, Katie, also obviously, and of course Carrie. So those are my 3 favorites and I'm going to tag them in this video. I don't know if they've actually done this already, but I feel like they haven't. I don't remember seeing this video on their channels, but if they have, well, too bad. Anyways, that's all I have to say for this video. Let me know down below if you're doing anything this Halloween, if you're doing anything fun and exciting. Anyways, as always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!